Hello, welcome to Computer Networks online lecture series. Myself Prima Rawal from Edge Institute of Engineering and Technology in the Department of Electronics and Communication. I'll be taking the online lecture series on the subject Computer Networks. So let's start today's session. So first of all, let us understand UDP, that is User Datagram Protocol. So UDP is basically a connectionless and unreliable protocol. Here it is described in the RFC standard 768, that is UDP is defined under the standard RFC 768. The UDP datagram has this structure as indicated in this. Here the first four, that means first 4 slots indicates the UDP header structure, and after that header there is the data. So this datagram structure is of 32 bits. The first field is a source port, the second field is destination port, the third field indicates the length field, the fourth field is UDP checksum field. Now the first source port field is of 16 bits and the destination port is again of 16 bits. This will make the total of 32 bit structure. Similarly, the length field is of 16 bits. This indicates the data length, which is of 16 bits. Then the checksum is used for error detection. So UDP checksum is of 16 bits, which is used to identify the error at the receiver side. After that, there is the data of 32 bits. So this is the datagram structure of UDP, that is User Datagram Protocol. Again, it is important to know that UDP is connectionless protocol. That means there is not physical or logical connection that is first to be established to send the data. So it is called as connectionless protocol, and it is also unreliable protocol because no error detection or acknowledgement protocols or acknowledgement policies are there in this. So that's why it is unreliable protocol. That means whenever a data is sent, there is no such mechanism to identify that the data is received correctly or not. So there is no such acknowledgement policy which makes this unreliable protocol. Now, for the UDP, remote procedure call is used, that is RCP. So what is the remote procedure call? So the calling procedure is known as the client and the called procedure is known as the server. So to understand the RPC, that is remote procedure call, for UDP, the calling procedure, that means whenever a data is to be sent, that calling procedure is known as the client and the call procedure is known as the server. So this is called as the client server model. Here you can see the RPC process. In this diagram it is indicated that the RPC is obtained using 5 steps. The first process as indicated is in the client side. At the client CPU side, the client is accessing the client stuff, that is called as the first step for RPC. Now here client stuff is the library or the data storage for the client side. Similarly, the server side, there will be a server stuff which is again the library procedure for the calling procedure or else the storage where the data is stored. So here the first process when the call is initiated is that when the client access the client stuff. Now the second procedure is that the client stuff access the operating system, that is OS, and it makes the data transfer using this network. So the operating system access the network to send the data using the encapsulation or such methods. So the third process is to transfer the data through the network. Now when the data is received at the server side, the fourth procedure is to send this data from this operating system. That means from the operating system of server to the server stuff. That means the library procedure at the server side. When at this side data is received, the fifth and last procedure or the last step is to send this data to the server from the server stuff. So as you can see over here, the first, second, third, fourth and fifth procedure are indicated for completing a remote procedure call. So this is called as the RPC. Now here the packing parameters, that means the process of packing the parameters is called as marshalling. That means whenever client sends the data, packing that data or encapsulating into some parameters is called as the marshalling process. So next is TCP, that is Transmission Control Protocol. We have seen UDP, which is connectionless and unreliable protocol. Now we are going to see TCP, that is Transmission Control Protocol. So TCP is basically a reliable connection and connection oriented protocol. So this gives the reliable data communication by using connection oriented protocol. So this is exactly opposite to that of UDP, which was connectionless and unreliable protocol. TCP makes it connection oriented and reliable protocol. So let us consider the features of TCP protocol. So first feature of TCP protocol is stream data transfer. Second one is reliability. The third one is efficient flow control. Next one is full duplex operation, and the last one is multiplexing. So these are the common features of TCP protocol. First one is stream data transfer. Now as the name suggests, there is a flow of data or stream of bits that is to be transferred using TCP. So TCP provides these features using the connection oriented protocol. So stream data transfer is possible using TCP. The next one is reliability. As this protocol transfers the data using connection oriented protocol, the reliability of this data transfer is higher as compared to others. So TCP provides the reliable data transfer. So that is the next feature of this. After that, efficient flow control is there. Now flow control is very important parameter. It is required to ensure that whatever the data is transferred is received correctly and in order delivery is there. So TCP provides that efficient flow controlling mechanism. Next one is full duplex operations. That means one can transmit and receive at the same time using TCP, which makes its full duplex operation successful. Next one is multiplexing. That means one channel can be used by the multiple users to transfer their data, which makes the effective use of the channel. So these are the common features which TCP provides. Next is assigned ports for TCP. Now TCP operates on the principle of ports. That means some fixed ports are assigned to some particular protocols. That means whenever some protocol is to be accessed, this port number is to be assigned at the network. So let us consider some basic ports that are assigned to some particular protocols. So here port number 21 is assigned to protocol FTP, which stands for File Transfer Protocol. The use of this FTP is to transfer the files from source to destination. Next port is port number 23, which is for Telnet. This Telnet protocol stands for Telecommunication Networking. The use of this protocol is to perform remote login procedure. Next port number is 25. This port number 25 is assigned for the protocol SMTP, where SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And this is basically used for email transfer or email communication. We will see email, its architecture, in detail in the further sessions. We will see electronic mail structures and its main parameters. Next port number is 69, where the port protocol is TFTP, where TFTP stands for Trivial File Transfer Protocol, and the uses of that are similar to that of FTP, but here it is used for trivial file transfer. Next port number is 79, that is Finger Protocol. It is used for lookup information about a user. Next port number is 80, that is protocol HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is the basis for the use in World Wide Web. Next is POP3, that is port number 110. It is used for the email applications for remote email access. Next is port number 119, where the protocol is NNTP, and it is used for Usenet use. So these are some basic assigned port numbers for some particular protocols at the TCP. Now let us see the TCP segment format. So the TCP segment has a 32-bit structure. Here the first is source port address, which is of 16 bits. After that, the destination port address is again of 16 bits. Next field is of sequence number to identify the sequences in order, which is of 32 bits. Then there is a 32 bits acknowledgement number to receive the acknowledgement from the receiver for the data recipient received. That means whether the data is received correctly or not. The next is header length field. It specifies the size of the TCP header in 32-bit words. The minimum size of the header is 5 words and the maximum size of the header is 15 words. Therefore, the maximum size of the TCP header is 60 bytes and the minimum size of the TCP header is 20 bytes. Next is the field which is reserved. It is a 6-bit field which is reserved for future uses. The next field is control bit field. Each bit of a control bit functions individually and independently, and a control bit defines the use of segment or serves as a validity check for the other fields. Now, there are some total 6 types of flags in the control field. The first field over here is the urgent URG field, which stands for urgent. So the URG field indicates that the data in a segment is urgent to deliver. Next field is ACK, which stands for acknowledgement. So when the acknowledgement is set, that means when that bit is high, it validates the acknowledgement number. Next is PSH. The PSH field is used to inform the sender that the higher throughput is needed. So if possible, data must be pushed with higher throughput. Next field is RST, which stands for reset. The reset bit is used to reset the TCP connection when there is any confusion occurs of the sequence numbers. After that, the field is SYN, which stands for synchronization. So the SYN field is used to synchronize the sequence numbers in 3 types of sequence or 3 types of segments. First one is connection request. Next is connection establishment, and the third one is connection release. So next is FIN, that is the field. It is to inform that the receiving TCP module that the sender has finished sending the data. So it is used for the connection termination. That means it indicates the finish or the finishing of the data transfer. So these are the 6 types of flags in the control field. According to requirement, they are made high or low. Next field is of window size, which is of 16 bits. After that, there is a field of 16 bits which is of checksum. This is used for error detection. After that, the next field is urgent pointer field, which is again of 16 bits. And after that, the last field is of 32 bits, which is for options and padding purpose. So these are the TCP segment format structures. Now, let us see the next one, differences between TCP and UDP. We have seen the main 2 protocols at transport layer, TCP and UDP, that means transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. Now let us consider the basic differences between them. So first let us consider the definition of this. So TCP establishes a virtual circuit before transmitting the data. That's why it is called as connection oriented protocol. And UDP transmits the data directly to the destination computer without verifying whether the receiver is ready to receive or not. Connection type in TCP is connection oriented and UDP is connection less. Next parameter is speed. So if we consider the speed of TCP, it is slow, and as compared to UDP, it is slow, but UDP speed is high as compared to TCP. Next parameter is reliability. So TCP is the reliable protocol and UDP is unreliable protocol. If we consider the header size, then the TCP has a header of 20 bytes, whereas UDP has a header of 8 bytes. And then last, if we consider the acknowledgement parameter, then TCP provides the acknowledgement and UDP does not provide the acknowledgement. That's why it is called as unreliable protocol. So these are the differences between TCP and UDP. I hope that the main two protocols at the transport layer are clear to you. These are the references. Thank you. Thank you for listening.